and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And I'm gonna be finishing up working on some of these assets. I finished most of the buildings. I just have this one left to do and one more, and then I need to add some shading and some highlights to the floating islands. So that's pretty good. I'm sad to say that sadly I lost 2 subscribers. I'm back down to 310, but it's all right. We're gonna keep moving forward. We're gonna keep pushing, and that's just life. Sometimes people grow apart. Other times people just fall out of love. I've been working in my sketchbook, and so one of the things I actually made a community post, but one of the things that I'm trying to work on is actually the vehicles. So I have like pictures of different ships I've been trying to work on anew, and I even started working on like some car designs and some other vehicles like caravans and RVs and stuff like that. Merely because I'm trying to sort of figure out just how flying cars and flying vehicles operate in this world. Because there's definitely gonna be the more classical designs. Like, people are coming out of the early 2000s because the whole timeline for the Cascade is it was predicted, tongue tied, it was predicted to occur in 1998 that the Cascade would happen in the early 2000s, like around January 1st. So that was when the bunkers were created, like the different bunkers, undersea civilizations, even some space travel was sort of stress tested, and it also made its own leaps and bounds, which is what sort of allowed people multiple different avenues and facets of reaching safety. And so, in that time, in the time of hiding away and being in those different facilities, it has allowed geek culture and gaming culture to almost flourish. For people to almost keep their sanity, they would play different role playing games and different tabletop games like that. So that's why, even though they always existed, that was sort of used as a factor or facet of keeping morale high in that time. Which has led to not only different classical inspirations and interpretations of magic, but it even also led to more different pursuits. There were scholars, philosophers, artists, people like that who were steadily gaining more renown because of the time where people had to put their safety first. It allowed them more free time to sort of think, process, and ponder existence and life when they were left alone. So to so to bring this back to like flying vehicles and airships, the stuff that I've been working on and trying to figure out how they would sort of operate and run in this world. So just for starters, I added airships because I kind of wanted to add them. Like that's just my weakness. I'd have to say airships and just airships are my biggest weakness. Airships and magic is my biggest weakness. So those were the two big things I wanted to add. I also wanted to add like different fantasy races just because I think it'd be cool. Like there is no deeper meaning. Just I like ogres and I like orcs and I like elves, so I wanted to add it to my show. So that's really like sort of the deeper meaning. Like all these different things, like I've said in previous streams about like oh deeper issues and politics and infringement, like that's just all added on later. Like I just wanted to add elves and orcs because I think they're cool. Just doing a little bit of cleanup, making sure it looks nice and presentable. Let's see here. I will say that one of the things I'm mm, gonna be excited about is when I start adding more B-roll footage. Like further on, when I start working on the pilot, I would like to have different scenes and angles of the city and showing different aspects of life. I like to have scenes where like there are flying cars and people on broomsticks like fluttering about. And I haven't even worked on like the broomsticks yet, but like I think that's a very sort of classical thing for magic to have is like flying broomsticks and maybe flying carpets and other things like that. So I will have to like add my own spin on those sort of classical cultural sort of those classical and cultural items. Like even though it's technically a broomstick, I'm thinking of like drawing it or sort of having it to where it doesn't look like an actual broomstick. Broomstick is just the name it's given, but in reality, it looks like a think of like some sort of metallic rod with different gadgets like around it and on the sides of it, like maybe an engine or probably like a special core or something that sort of gives it its flight capabilities. Just it's definitely a lot to think about, and I'm currently thinking about it right now, so that's good. Looks like my mom is calling, so I'll be right back. Hello, hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I coming through? Let me check real quick. Yep, my mic is back on. My mom had forgotten something, so I ended up putting some food in containers and put that in the refrigerator. It didn't take long. I look at these buildings, and now as I'm drawing them and working on them, I'm kind of wondering and curious, like, what kind of jobs would people have in a world where magic exists? Like, what kind of office work or office job would be needed or required? And given the nature of the world, and given the nature of the parameters I had set for this world, in which magic can essentially do anything as long as you like think about it or figure out some way to justify its existence. I do think that there would be many different services, different businesses that deal in either creating things with magic or providing different services with magic. Like there could be security that uses scrying in order to look in on places and people. Like you could, like, almost like, what's it called? That really famous home security system, IP or whatever. I forgot the name of it. Like, yeah, like home security, or it could be different. These could be logistics buildings. Farther in the outskirts, I know for a fact that there are going to be that there are going to be like different magical plants where they absorb the ethos in the environment and they sort of burn it. They don't really burn it, but they use the surrounding magic that's in the atmosphere and the surrounding magic particle that's in the atmosphere in order to create energy for distant towns and cities. I mean, I do think that infrastructure and industry would still exist, which is why office buildings like this would be necessary. There would still be fashion, there would still be consumer products, even though those consumer products would be backed by magic now, as well as different federal services that would require different offices to function and work. I can definitely see like a wildlife coalition or a wildlife initiative that sort of deals with the hyperflora and hyperfauna of this world. Who knows? They might even have like these magical environment rangers where they have. I'll definitely have to like think of a cool design for them. I want to keep like their hats, their cool ranger hats. Like the ranger hats and the boots are going to be the two big things that I want to carry over and maybe even enhance with like the environment ranger design. Uh, Now, I do think I touched on schools in a previous stream, like maybe two or three different. No, that wasn't even two or three. It was like dozens of streams ago when I mentioned school. Like, I definitely think that the structure of schooling in this world, it would have, it would teach very basic spells and very basic magics. Like, basic telekinesis would be something that every child, every person would know right off the cup, as well as either some form of like light creation spell, like either a flashlight spell or maybe even like a lighter spell. Anything to produce light that would also be very common to teach in school. Basic self defense would also be something that older students and older children would learn, whether from their parents or from whatever school system they've attended. And then, likely after middle school, is when children sort of have the choice or have the option to broaden their magical education, and they'll specifically choose to enroll in like magic schools, or they more so decide to just live their life and just operate with the basic skills and magic that they know. But more than likely, given the time period, I definitely say that in the 2060s, 2070s, that would be very much the time period in which many children would choose to become like mages and different magic users for the fad of it. Like I'm basing this off of sort of the early 2000s and the increase in nurses. I'm sort of basing it off of that phenomenon of like in the early 2000s there was like a bunch of students, a bunch of men and women going into like nursing and going into the medical field. So that would be one of the other big sort of inspirations to this. You know, after this stream, I think I'm gonna call my dad and see how he is. I haven't really talked to him, and that sounds horrible. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's see some of this. Some of all of this, actually. It certainly looks interesting. I may want to play with the opacity of some of this stuff, like of some of these layers, specifically this building right here. I feel as though their window glares are a bit too bright, as well as this one over here. So let me just find them real quick, so I can alter their opacity. Uh, I think that's a bit better. Yeah, that's way better. Especially given it's so. Actually, I may want to make it a bit more solid. Uh, I don't know. That just looks better to me for some reason. I think it's given like all of the darker colors that are in there already, like the brown, and because I used a burn layer to give the building some texture and more definition, I think that's why my mind immediately goes to make the glare lighter or make the glare more clear because it doesn't need to be that overpowering. And I think it's the same with that other building right there. So let me figure out which building that is. Actually, while I'm at it, I can alter the opacity of the building behind this one. And let me make that a bit lighter as well. It doesn't need to be too light. Just, yeah, that's good. I believe this is building 5. And it's because the purple I use for the actual window itself is more attuned to gray than it is purple. That's why sort of these glares are standing out so much. I definitely need to go back in and just lighten it all. Yeah, that's only 45. I can definitely lower that. Better. Much, much better. Dang, how many did I draw? How many did I create? That's a lot. These assets sure are taking a while, but it does give me a nice, it just gives me nice time to sort of be alone with my thoughts and really think and process. And I did, in fact, decide to go back over my animation again and sort of resize some stuff and add a few more layers because, well, I've gotten better at drawing faces. I've also gotten a bit better at animating mouths. And there were some sizing and placement inconsistencies. So on scene 2, with like sort of that transition sequence, I decided to go back and resize the head, redraw some stuff, and just try to make it look better than it was. And I said like, oh, sometimes in animation you gotta cut your losses, but you really have to just sort of weigh the consequences and like, do you want to go back and spend who knows how long fixing this one little thing? Or do you just want to produce the content on time? And so I made my choice. It actually didn't take me that long to sort of fix and redo some stuff. So that's good. That's a positive. That's a plus. And I'm just gonna be honest, I don't really know how long this is gonna take, and I don't know how long I'll be working on this, but I am so very much close to complete with this, and I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to post it. I can't wait to, I don't know, grow my channel. And then after that, I'm gonna do some crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, get into contact with some connections I've made, and hopefully, work on a pilot. And then just have this idea for my show out there. And who knows, I might get picked up by a studio or I might start my own. But I am excited for what the future holds. It's been a little bit over an hour, and sadly, I do have to go. I have to cut this live stream to an end. I'm sorry, people, but it's time we parted ways, at least for now. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, as well as share. I also have a Patreon and a Buy Me a Coffee in the description below, as well as a Fiverr account if you want to enlist my skills and services in anything you may think of. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Wish me luck. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. Also, 310 subscribers, okay? Like, I'm so close to my 500 benchmark, and once I reach 500, I'm going to do a 4-hour long live stream. So that's going to be from like 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and I'll likely work on some character art, some character designs, different things like that. And yes, all in all, just have a good time, or at least try to have a good time. But anyway, this has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I'll see you guys in my next video. Or